David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney+. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney+ every night.
Tonight, breaking news, the war in Iran, President Trump's new demand, and is Russia now helping Iran find U.S. troops across the region. And tonight, right here, the video of that American F-15 fighter jet being shot down by a Kuwaiti warplane in the air. President Trump now demanding Iran's unconditional surrender. Tonight, the White House has asked what that unconditional surrender looks like. Airstrikes intensifying across Iran. An Iranian drone carrier struck at sea up in flames. Sources now telling ABC News Tonight the U.S. believes Russia is providing intelligence to help Iran target American forces. And tonight, we're now seeing the video showing the moment a U.S. fighter jet was mistakenly shot down by a Kuwaiti warplane in the air. Ian Pannell standing by live from the region. Tonight, with much of the Middle East relying on U.S. interceptors to block Iranian missiles and drones, President Trump now meeting with several major defense contractors, urging them to boost production. Tonight, the price of oil now surging, the highest weekly spike ever. Analysts tonight warning it could soon top $100 a barrel. Where gas prices now stand tonight, the new spike. And the news on American jobs tonight, the U.S. losing 92,000 jobs last month. The other news this Friday night, the deadly tornado killing a mother and daughter trapped in their car in the storm. And a major line of severe storms we're watching from Texas up to the Great Lakes to New York. Lee Goldberg has the forecast. Tonight, news in that horrific case, the 22-year-old Iowa man now charged in the killings of 3 women in a different state. One woman in her home while she was watching TV, 2 others, an aunt and her niece, as they were preparing to go hiking. And tonight, police here on why he says he did it. Tonight, thousands gathering for a final farewell to the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Former Presidents Obama, Biden, and Clinton all paying tribute. There is news tonight of the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. Authorities are back in Guthrie's neighborhood, going door to door. But they're now asking the neighbors. The deadly plane crash today right onto a golf course, what we've learned. And our person of the week. It turns out March Madness has come early. Even the announcers couldn't keep up.
Oh, my mercy!
You have to see and hear this.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We begin tonight here with breaking news in the war in Iran. President Trump now demanding Iran's unconditional surrender. The White House tonight asked to explain what that looks like. And sources now telling ABC News the U.S. now believes Russia is providing Iran with intelligence on U.S. troops and where they are across the region. Tonight, U.S. Central Command releasing video showing an airstrike on an Iranian drone carrier. The U.S. now reporting 43 Iranian Navy ships have been struck. More than 3,000 targets hit. There's also new video tonight showing the moment that American F-15 was mistakenly shot down by a Kuwaiti fighter jet. 2 other fighter jets shot down too. All of the American pilots survived. ABC's chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell on the president's new demand tonight for Iran. And this new concern Russia is now helping to target U.S. troops.
Oh! Tonight, President Trump demanding Iran's unconditional surrender as the U.S. and Israel intensify attacks. And in an alarming new development, sources telling ABC News the U.S. believes Russia has been providing Iran with the locations of American troops in the region, including aircraft and ships. Just today, Iranian missile debris igniting this fire at a military base in Kuwait, where U.S. troops are stationed. No injuries reported. The White House trying to downplay the impact of Russian interference.
It clearly is not making a difference with respect to the military operations in Iran because we are completely decimating them.
But in another sign of potential escalation, tonight 3 U.S. officials telling ABC News the Army abruptly cancelling a major training exercise for a unit of the 82nd Airborne Division that oversees deployments. That move fueling speculation the 82nd Airborne, the Pentagon's premier ground combat unit, may be getting ready to deploy to the Middle East if needed. But officials stress there are no orders to deploy right now. Iranian officials warning thousands of lives would be lost if the U.S. sending ground troops. Tonight, with the world's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, now moving into the Red Sea, The Pentagon saying the US has struck more than 3,000 targets in Iran. Israel releasing dramatic new video. 50 fighter jets striking the late Ayatollah Khamenei's underground bunker complex in Tehran. Israel saying senior Iranian officials were still using it, but no word on the fate of those inside. And Israel expanding strikes deeper into Lebanon, relentlessly bombing Beirut in an area known to be a stronghold of the Iranian proxy group Hezbollah. Our Matt Rivers on the scene.
There's another missile coming in right now. You can hear that explosion there. That was the second strike. There was one just before that, and that comes after a series of strikes all day long. And as we move into the night, it could be a very long night for the people down there.
Long lines as hundreds of thousands race to escape, warned to evacuate their homes by Israel. And tonight, new details of that horrific strike on a girls' school in southern Iran on the first day of the war. Iran saying 168 people were killed. A child's textbook covered in blood in the aftermath. Sources say that while the US investigation into the incident remains ongoing, officials believe it's possible American forces are responsible for the attack because they were conducting strikes in the vicinity of the school at the time of the incident. Retired Master Sergeant Wes Bryant, who works in the Pentagon office that assesses civilian casualties, telling ABC News he believes the building was targeted.
I could tell immediately that this compound was deliberately targeted. I know since we've seen at least 7 different target points that were individually targeted by munitions within this compound, very, very clearly.
Israel says its forces weren't operating in the area. But 6 days since the attack, the US still looking into it, saying it would never deliberately target civilians.
We, of course, never target civilian targets, but we're taking a look and investigating that.
And for the first time tonight, we're seeing the moment a Kuwaiti warplane shot down an American F-15 fighter jet in video posted to TikTok. Flames shooting out of that US jet as it spiraled to the ground. One of 3 F-15s shot down the same day by friendly fire. Both pilots ejecting safely.
Thank you for helping us.
And tonight, relief for some Americans still stuck in the region. The US chartering a New England Patriots plane carrying hundreds of Americans home. Overall, at least 24,000 US citizens have left the Middle East since the war erupted. David, the president demanding an unconditional surrender from Iran, something the regime's unlikely to agree to, amid growing concerns about how much intelligence Russia's now giving to Iran to help target American forces. David.
Ian Pannell leading us off here again tonight. Incredible reporting all week long, Ian. Thank you. And much of the Middle East, as we've been reporting here, now relying on these U.S. interceptors to block those Iranian missiles and drones. President Trump now meeting with several major defense contractors, urging them to boost production. Will there be enough? Here's Mary Bruce.
Amid growing questions over whether the U.S. has enough missile interceptors to protect American interests and at least 6 other allies in the region from a barrage of Iranian attacks. Tonight, President Trump meeting with the nation's top defense contractors, urging them to boost production. The president has given no clear timetable for how long the war will last, but now says the end will require Iran's, quote, unconditional surrender.
What does the president mean when he calls for unconditional surrender? Is he saying that the regime has to fully relinquish control?
What the president means is that when he, as commander-in-chief of the U.S. Armed Forces, determines that Iran no longer poses a threat to the United States of America and the goals of Operation Epic Fury has been fully realized, then Iran will essentially be in a place of unconditional surrender.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt saying it doesn't much matter whether Iran actually says it surrenders or not. Tonight, the president telling Axios unconditional surrender could be that the Iranians announce it, but it could also be when they can't fight any longer because they don't have anyone or anything to fight with. The president says he will have to approve Iran's next leader, but he hasn't said how that would happen. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has made this promise.
No nation-building quagmire, no democracy-building exercise.
Tonight, Trump pledging the U.S. and allies will work tirelessly to bring Iran back from the brink of destruction, making it economically bigger, better, and stronger than ever before, adding, make Iran great again. the White House posting hype videos on their official X account, interspersing images of deadly American attacks with cartoons.
You want to see me do it again?
Action movie clips, and video games. Tonight, Democratic Senator Tammy Duckworth, who received a Purple Heart after losing both her legs in Iraq, posting, "War is not a video game. 6 Americans are dead and thousands more are at needless risk because of your illegal, unjustified war."
And President Trump tomorrow will attend the dignified transfers of the 6 Americans killed so far in this war. We asked the White House if the president has spoken with their families, and we're told he plans to tomorrow. David.
We honor those Americans and their families tonight, Mary. Thank you. We're also tracking the surging price of oil, the highest weekly price increase ever. There's news tonight on American jobs. The U.S. losing 92,000 jobs last month. The stock market tumbling this week on the news. The Dow dropping 453 points today alone. The Nasdaq and S&P 500 down as well. Elizabeth Schulze tonight on gas prices and where this goes from here. Elizabeth.
David, we are seeing a record-breaking surge in the price of oil as the war in Iran chokes off global supply. Oil prices are up 35% and the biggest weekly price increase ever. A barrel of oil now above $90. Some analysts warn it could soon top $100. Americans are seeing these price hikes at the pump every day. The national average for a gallon of gas stands at $3.39. That's up more than 40 cents in the last week. Tonight, there is another warning sign for the economy. The new jobs report shows that the U.S. lost 92,000 jobs last month, and the unemployment rate ticked up to 4.4%. Economists were expecting a boost in hiring. This signals the job market is heading in the wrong direction. David.
Elizabeth Schulze back with us tonight. Elizabeth, thank you. We're tracking a line of severe storms heading from Texas right up to the Great Lakes across to New York, and a mother and daughter have been killed in a tornado while in their car. Here's Lee Goldberg.
Oh, Menard's roof just blew off.
Tonight, dangerous storms targeting the Heartland for the 3rd night in a row. Lindsay Whitaker capturing this tornado, ripping up buildings in Three Rivers, Michigan.
We need to go because the storage shed just blew off.
Debris swirling outside this cell phone store.
Oh my God.
Homes torn apart, debris and wires littering neighborhoods. Overnight, northwest of Oklahoma City, first responders spotting this giant funnel lit up by lightning. Daylight revealing deadly destruction. Authorities say 2 people were inside this vehicle when it was hit by a tornado near Fairview, Oklahoma. Tragically, mother and daughter Jody and Lexi Owens did not survive. The storm's set to continue into tonight.
Just an awful story there. Let's get right to Lee Goldberg, of course, tracking these storms right into the weekend for us. Haley.
David, tornado on the ground near Tulsa, Oklahoma right now. So there's a tornado warning. So stay vigilant in the Heartland. It's going to be a dangerous night. 6 states under tornado watches. The severe threat from Texas to the Great Lakes. There's an enhanced severe risk area. That's where the tornado threat is greatest. That's from Texas to Iowa. The risk will shift east on Saturday from Texas all the way to the northeast Saturday afternoon and evening. There are 2 areas of severe weather, Buffalo to Pittsburgh, and in the south, it's Texas to Mississippi. Going to be a dangerous night and start to the weekend. David?
We'll watch this right into tomorrow. Thank you, Lee. Tonight, the horrific case, a 22-year-old Iowa man now charged in the killings of 3 women. 1 woman in her home while she was watching TV, 2 others, an aunt and her niece. They were about to go hiking. Tonight, police hear on why he says he did it. Here's Melissa Adon.
Authorities in Wayne County, Utah say 22-year-old Ivan Miller confessed to killing 3 women in cold blood in a case that's shaken a small community to its core. Police say Miller, who is from Iowa, was traveling through Utah when he hit an elk and totaled his truck. Days later, in need of money and a vehicle, he allegedly killed 86-year-old Margaret Oldroyd and stole her Buick Regal. Telling police he shot her in the back of the head while she was sitting down watching television. But police say after stealing the Buick, he did not like the car and wanted to find a different vehicle. So he parked at this remote trailhead where 65-year-old Linda Dewey and her niece, 34-year-old Natalie Graves, were going hiking. Police say he shot them, stole their Subaru Outback and credit cards, and took off. When their husbands became concerned, they went to the trailhead, found their bodies, and called police, who tracked Miller across 4 states.
Investigators utilized automated license plate readers and integrated vehicle tracking services to monitor the stolen vehicles' movements through southern Utah into northern Arizona and eventually into Colorado.
Miller was taken into custody in Colorado without incident.
David, police haven't said exactly why he did this other than he needed a car. He's expected in court in May for his arraignment. David?
All right, Melissa, thank you. Tonight, a final farewell here in Chicago to the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Former Presidents Obama, Biden, and Clinton all paying tribute. Here's Pierre Thomas.
They came today 10,000 strong to help keep hope alive. Every praise! Not for a funeral, but a black church-style homegoing service. Celebrate the life and legacy of Jesse Jackson. Civil rights legend and major American political figure. There was the enraptured singing of joy. Oh, happy day. The man who was the bridge between Martin Luther King Jr. and Barack Obama, whose run for the presidency in the 1980s paved the way for the push for diversity in American politics.
He invited us to believe in our own power to change America for the better.
And Obama made clear that without Jesse Jackson, there would be no Obama presidency.
He paved the road for so many others to follow. He was talking about everyone who was left out, everyone who was forgotten, everyone who was unseen.
The man known as a country preacher honored today not just by Obama, but two other presidents, Bill Clinton.
I'm here more as a friend than a former president. He was my friend when I needed it.
And Joe Biden.
He changed history in ways numerous and profound.
And former Vice President Kamala Harris.
Well done, good and faithful servant. Well done. Thank you.
For those who remember Jackson, that clarion voice for justice will never be silenced. David?
Pierre Thomas back with us again tonight. Thank you, Pierre. When we come back here, news tonight on the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. Authorities are back in Guthrie's neighborhood tonight, going door to door, and what they're now asking the neighbors. Also, this deadly plane crash today right onto a golf course, what we've learned. And you have to see this on a Friday night. March Madness has come early. Even the announcers in this game couldn't keep up. We've never seen it. And they're all right here in a moment. Don't go away. Tonight, there was news in the Nancy Guthrie case. Detectives in Tucson back in her neighborhood going door to door, asking neighbors if they had any Wi-Fi lapses the night before Nancy was last seen. Authorities not revealing why they're asking. Savannah Guthrie and her family offering that $1 million reward for anyone who helps bring Nancy home. When we come back tonight, there's been a deadly plane crash right onto a golf course. And later here, the stunner. The announcers couldn't even keep up, and we've never seen anything like it. To the index tonight, one person was killed when a small plane crashed onto a golf course in Albuquerque. The pilot was attempting an emergency landing. 2 people on board, 1 died, the other in critical condition. A reminder tonight, set your clocks forward. Daylight saving time begins on Sunday morning. Clocks move ahead 1 hour at 2 a.m. Sunday morning. When we come back, we have never seen this before. Even the announcers could barely keep up. In a moment. Finally tonight here, her name is Ava, and she's a star in Iowa, and she's our Person of the Week. Tonight in Grimes, Iowa, just outside Des Moines, the whole town cheering after this jaw-dropping ending to the high-stakes high school girls basketball game. You have to see it to believe it. The semifinals in Dallas Center Grimes High School was 6 points behind with 40 seconds left. Sophomore Ava Smid, it's what they're calling perhaps one of the greatest endings ever to a basketball game in Iowa. Ava, number 12, scoring.
Good off the glass.
Then just a few seconds later,
they do go for the quick 2.
Ava again. And incredibly, watch this.
It continues to run, and they turn it over. Smid for 2 more. She scores.
Again. The game now tied, and Ava's not done.
And she scores. Oh my mercy! What just happened?
The announcers, the crowd, everyone couldn't believe it. Ava Smid with 4 baskets in a row and her team winning. Right after the game, Ava modest and in disbelief herself.
I somehow got the ball and scored every time. If we believe in each other and we stick through it, then we'll pull this game out with a win, and that's what we were able to do.
And right here tonight, Ava.
Hey David, this is the Mustangs, and we're coming to you live from Grimes, Iowa.
Hi, David!
Ava and her team, the Mustangs, telling us this just shows that we can never, ever give up, especially with 40 seconds left. Their championship game tomorrow.
Roll Stags!
And so we choose Ava and the Mustangs. Good luck. I'll see you Monday. Good night.
David Muir, the most trusted anchor in America, the most watched anchor in America. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir the #1 newscast in America.